guys, 8 a.m., 8 p.m. I should say. Just getting ready for Novak Live. Here, sorry guys. Yes, we're live, Angelo. Live.
Good to go.
Guys, Angelo and I, we always get off to a good start. We always like to see that we've got everything running before we go live. But guys, 8 p.m. Monday evening, that makes it time for Novak Live here on a Monday night. Of course, I'm Stevan Bubalo, joined with the ever knowledgeable Angelo Goutzios. Ange, how you been?
Good
Overall.
week
Last week?
Yeah, it has been. It's been a good, like a couple of weeks actually.
Yeah.
So.
What's your take on the market? How did you see your opens on Saturday?
Numbers are still good. I've just noticed this week we had about look at DY. We had about 15 properties sell last week, and only about 5 or 6 come on. So days on stock levels in DY have dropped at the moment, which is we're starting to get more and more. I think now's the time. I think in the next 2-3 weeks, what's going to be coming on the market for the end of the year, and I think that's so I think we're getting ready for a big next 2-3 weeks, and then let's see what's going to happen.
So really, I guess what we're going to talk about tonight, if you've seen in the heading, is days on market. It's a phrase that's thrown around. We as agents probably use it a little bit too casually, because as a buyer or a seller, you might not necessarily know what that means when your agent says days on market. And is days on market a good thing? Is days on market a bad thing? But essentially, what it comes down to is what's the expected time for you to rent your property, or what's the expected time to sell your property? Angelo, what does days on market mean when you hear us, or when we say days on market?
I don't think it's that relevant. Always sometimes then you see a lot of agents brag about, we sold a property in 3 or 4 days, but or within a week. And I guess the days on market term, it depends on the owner's expectation at the end of the day.
Days on market just means how many days the property was on the market before it sold.
Correct.
And it's
So it comes down to expectations as well sometimes, and sometimes a property does take 3 or 4 weeks to get the right result and the right price, and in some instances in the first week, or you get the right buy even before the first Saturday, that pays a premium as well sometimes for the property, and you sort of go, look, what's the chances we're going to get above that figure, and they take the property. They take one of the first offers there. So like they've done a lot of times it looks like in the first, sometimes your first offers are the better ones, and another times they do take 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. So days on market, I guess, really, like, it can be a bit of a marketing ploy from the real estate agent. Like Angelo said, we sold a property in 3 days, but is 3 days good or is 3 days bad? You don't really know unless you really know what the value of the property is, and the number of buyers, obviously how well you've negotiated and marketed that property. But Angelo, I guess we get asked a lot. People say to us, how long will it take to sell my home? And days on market can really be influenced by a lot of different factors. Well, what do you think are the key factors that influence how long it's going to take you to get from on the market to sold?
Well, you've got to look at a lot of cases, and I'd say how long does my property need to be on the market, or look, it's only been a couple of days. Is it enough time? Sometimes you've got to look at it. The buyers that we've sometimes showed through have been on the market looking for properties for 3, 4, 5 months,
that's
6 months.
Key line, isn't it? Not how long you've been on the market, how long that buyer's been in the market.
So you get a lot of buyers where they're in a situation that they're at, especially at the moment, where they need to find something, and accommodation is and the fact that there's actually a low supply of properties at the moment out there. I always say to a buyer, to an owner, even in the first week, sometimes prior to a first Saturday or on a first Saturday, we've had 20 or 30 groups through a property, and they go, it's only been a week. I'm like, well, we've had 30 bodies that have walked through the property, and sometimes only 1 or 2 offers. I think that's a good measure. Is the amount of qualified bodies that go through a property and the feedback that you get from everybody there. Yeah. Sometimes I think the hardest part is, and it comes down to every owner is different, but if you only sometimes take only 1 buyer through or only 2 buyers through, is that the best offer that buyer might have paid? And that sometimes always goes through. But it comes down to, as long as you can see, and we can give you a good knowledge of what properties are selling for around the area, you get a good gist of sort of where what offers would be coming through, and if it fits in the right price point.
Yeah. And let's talk about days on market. So some of the things that can really influence it is, one, your price, the price that you're asking for the property.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm Serbian and I can be a bit stubborn at times, so I might be like that when I sell my property, and I want a high price, and I don't care how long it's going to take. I want the price. So that can drag out those numbers. Presentation.
Even when a lot of sometimes you might look in even on realestate.com and a lot of Domain, and there's a lot of times realestate.com and Domain like to have an emphasis on days of market that agent averages as well. But sometimes that agent might have 2 or 3 properties that basically, there's expectations and that they sit there and they're on the market for 60 days. And even he might do so great on other properties and sell them in the first week, but his days on market's average just drags out. So it's not a really true good measure. I think a lot
of agents pump days on market when they think it makes them look good, and when it doesn't, they kind of hide days on market.
How long's a day? What would you call days on market in a pre-market situation where you're technically not on the market to everybody, or sometimes you take one buyer through and then an agent goes, I sold it in one day, whereas technically you took the one buyer through? I mean, is that a true measure of a days on market for that property? But
look, what I like to think is that days on market can be really, really good for you if you're looking at a marketplace. Like, for instance, this year we've had a very turbulent year in regards to what's been going out out in the world, and the property market's gone up and down. And days on market, as real estate agents and as individuals out there watching, this can help you get a feel for how this property market's performing. So we're going to run over a few different suburbs just to show you how it's improved or how it's changed from, say, the start of the year to today. So first suburb, where do you want to start? DY?
Let's start DY. We're here.
All right, guys, I've got my trusty Samsung here, so I'm going to bring up some DY statistics for us. So DY, pardon me. Sorry, I do have the nickname of Deda in the office, which translates to grandfather, because I'm so good on my Samsung. Now DY, sorry, here I am, Edge. I'm here with you. DY. Okay, so let's look at apartments, for instance. Days on market over the last 12 months. What's happened? Right now, for an apartment, it is saying an average of 19 days to sell an apartment in DY. Compared to this time last year, it is down 52%. So you're selling quicker in half the amount of time today than you were in this time last year. So think about that.
And those stats averaged out at 524 odd sales. So
524 odd sales. That's roughly the same number as we saw this time last year. Median values are still pretty similar. So guys, look, COVID, I know we always talk about it, but if you want to look at the statistics over the last 12 months, apartments in DY are selling twice as fast as they were this time last year. Let's look at the houses, Angelo.
Well, houses, let's do a bit more of a house suburb. So, sure. For example, go to Beacon Hill.
Beacon Hill?
That's a good...
You like Beacon Hill?
Yep.
So let's look at some houses. So Beacon Hill houses, Angelo.
So 25 days. Now this is another very interesting stat as well. A lot of those, the reason why they're 25 days too, not that it's taking longer to sell houses and apartments, but with house, because of the least amount of properties on supply compared to where a lot of the DY apartments, 80% of them are sold by private treaty, whereas the housing market in Beacon Hill, Yarrawonga, almost 80% of them are sold by auction. Generally, an auction campaign runs for roughly about a 4-week period, so which is the reason why from day it actually went on the market. Most of those, I could almost say that 80% of them probably sold under the hammer on auction, which is the reason why the days on market are a little bit more on the houses.
Yeah. But let's look at this. I've got the statistics here in front of me. So 25 days on market, so roughly say 3 weeks. If you're running an auction campaign, that means you're selling before auction on average.
On average,
in Beacon Hill. And that is, again, 20% quicker than it was this time last year.
And that's out of 77 houses for Beacon Hill for the year.
So there you go. So Beacon Hill performing well as well. Guys, let's look at some other areas in Sydney. So two key areas I think let's focus on is one, let's go to the east and we'll look at some Bondi statistics, and we'll take a jump to Western Sydney and let's have a look at some Cabramatta statistics, because we love the Northern Beaches. We know it's a great spot to live, but I'm interested to see if the rest of Sydney is performing, in a similar manner. So we're going to let's go to Cabramatta. Cabramatta, a thriving part of Sydney's west.
Steven's watching, he'll know that.
Steve will know that. Steve will support us on that. Cabramatta, guys, 61 days on market. So that sounds maybe a lot compared to the statistics Angelo and I just mentioned, 10% quicker than it was this time last year. So their market is performing better as well. Property value, very similar. Their median value for an apartment in Cabramatta, you're looking at around 400,000. Almost identical to where it was this time last year. Number of sales, however, up 14.4%. So more property selling, probably because they're going through a nice development boom over there. So because the western suburbs seem to be performing well, I'll jump to the house market in Cabramatta. Days on market, 53 days, and that's up 15%. Now, not a drastic change when you look at auction campaigns. So an auction campaign could be a 4 or 5 week process. So, that can draw out that process as well. But homes sitting a little bit longer, but the number of homes selling actually down. So down 12%, so less homes on the market. So if you're in the West, guys, you're doing well. You're doing well as well.
It all depends on your supply as well at the one time. So it's, you look at DY where there's 70 at the moment properties, where only last week there was about 85. So we're now pulled back a little bit in regard. So the fact that now there's less properties on the market than what there were, and moving forward, I think now I don't think we're going to have a massive increase. We might have a little bit more between now and the next couple of weeks. But that's 70 odd properties. That's houses, 1 bedders, 2 bedders, 3 bedders. So when you divide that by, we have on average about 20 people coming through per open house. There's actually not a lot of supply for these buyers. So that's the reason, and that will also obviously help and boost your days on market.
Yeah, I'm in Bondi now, guys. We've flown over the bridge for us on the Northern Beaches. We've crossed that bridge once, that we do twice a year. Except for you, Ange, you do it every day. But we're in the eastern suburbs now. And look, apartments in Bondi, average of 30 days on the market. So, and that's 30% quicker than it was this time last year.
Beaches is still killing it, huh?
Beaches killing it, guys, killing it. But I think you can say pretty confidently, that's the apartments. Let me just give you the houses. Houses days on market, 51 days, so up 4%. So, I mean, when you're looking at it, the average for houses seems to be around 50 days to sell a property across Sydney.
A lot of properties pass in then.
Yeah, must be. Pass in at auction and then just negotiate beyond that. But very good signs. If you're an apartment buyer, you're an apartment owner, you've just seen 3 very, very different regions across Sydney. Here on the Northern Beaches in DY, Cabramatta in the western suburbs of Sydney, and then Bondi in the eastern suburbs. All of them performing exceptionally well with apartment sales. So I think that's an indicator of a good market ahead, Ange.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where days on market, I think, is a little bit more genuine rather than a real estate agent spruiking it on an ad saying I sold it, in 3 days. My average days on market 7 days. I think you've got to be wise to where you see these stats and what you believe when you do see them. So yeah, days on market, guys, really, really good. Angelo, buyer activity. I know we're talking about days on market, but we've seen a big increase in buyers, haven't we?
Massive. Yeah. The as I just touched on before, the low supply of stock as well is you still got to look back at 2018, which was a bit of a struggle street at the end of the year. This time, 2018, we're over the hundreds. I think we're sitting about 110, 120, and around November we hit about 135 properties on the market in DY. So, which is almost exactly half the amount of properties now, with pretty much double the amount of buyers. So
bit of a switch.
yeah, so it's
moving
it's all
towards the seller's market.
it's all that word, that COVID word. It's everyone's selling. Well, I'm finding a lot of people at the moment are doing that move because of it, but not. I'm not seeing the financial, which is again, look, we only hear, I guess, what we've been told, but everyone's been doing. There's so many people doing upsizes, like that many of them. So it's we've found that.
What do you mean by upsizes, Angelo?
Well, up till now, anywhere sort of along, and you look at other areas of Sydney where you look at your any properties or any suburbs, I guess, along the train line, and I'm finding that a lot of and this is why the rental market, which we'll touch on in a second as well, is absolutely it's gone incredible at the moment, is because we're finding that a lot of families are just relocating even for a year and a half, 2 years, businesses because of what's happening, and they're seeing that moving forward, a lot of people are going to be working from home. So all that home office and having 1 or 2 kids, we're constantly getting the phone calls that, look, we're now at that stage that we're running out of room. We need that bigger space. So
feeling it.
Owners I just had an owner that's literally just sold a 2-bedroom unit in DY to move to another bigger 2-bedroom unit in DY as well. And everyone's moving, as it with locally, I'm finding, but more because of just space, running out of room, and go, you know what, now we've got to make that lifestyle change. We need that bit more outdoor space, or we want to be near the beach. So it's it's amazing how things can change, because only last year, prior to that, we were saying that the prices boom the most when you're sort of on the beach, on express bus routes to and from the city, and the proximity to the city. They're the 3 things that determine pricing. But realistically now, proximity to the city, is it really going to now be, is that going to be a change in the market moving forward? Is it really going to be so important to people? Because jobs doesn't look like it. So.
Well, interesting point. And like you mentioned, let's talk about the rental cycle. So Angelo and I are both very knowledgeable with how the rental cycles work within our industry here. And I have never, I don't know about you, Ange, but I have never seen such a turnaround in a 6-month period where once COVID was introduced, it was dire straits to literally almost having nothing to show, potential tenants. There is just, the number of properties on the rental market, and hats off to everybody who works as a property manager or as a leasing consultant in this industry, because you've done a great job over the last 8 months. 8 to 9 months, you've done a phenomenal job. You deserve, a round of applause. Definitely, you even deserve a break. But have a look at us, Angela. We normally would be carrying, and your rental cycle is quite seasonal. We've said it before. The winter months take a little bit longer than the summer months to move property. People like to move house in summer, and that's probably more evident in rental. But the fact that we went from having this supply of property to almost nothing on the market, and I think it harpers back to exactly what Angelo said, people wanting lifestyle now over maybe that proximity to work. But wow, the rental market has just gone red hot.
I'll give you an example. I've bumped into a few people, locals around here, and they're not normally locals. They've now relocated here. Yeah. But these are 2 separate families I've met, and I wonder how many more there are of these. Now, they lived on the other side of Sydney, and they relied on basically, again, a train line get to and from work. And one of them's in a bank in the city. Where now moving forward, they're now said that, we're not going to have everybody come into the office. We're actually going to literally only keep 20% of staff moving forward. The rest of them will be able to work from home permanently on a permanent basis, and possibly come into the office once a week. Now, for a lifestyle change, they're renting out their properties over there, and they're going, you know what, let's go live near the lifestyle, have a bit of a lifestyle change, and they're moving down here on the beach. So we're finding, and I think that's also boosted because they're not buying straight away, but they're trying it out and trying the area out and renting for a couple of years. So that's another big thing that we're actually, which could also have, because again, it all comes down to lifestyle. We've got that lifestyle here that it's very hard to lose it. Like it's very hard to
give it up. And I'll run some stats again, just over those three key areas. DY, medium asking rent, it's actually down. Wow. 0.6%.
Yeah, but that's the last year.
You're
so,
right,
so that's the last year. So I don't think it's capturing the last month or two.
Yeah.
So because if you look at,
but that's an average of the last 12 months. We've had a bit of a shaky 12 months. To be not even 1% different, that just shows you how well that market's bounced back. So that's DY. I'll go back to Cabramatta now.
So this will be interesting.
Because Cabramatta, I know, has had a big influx. Sorry, Ange, cut you off.
Yeah, that's all right.
Cabramatta's had a big influx of development, so I wonder if that's affected their rents. And look, their median rents are down 4.2%. So rental yields down 6%, rental asking rents down 4.2%. But you're talking about a suburb that's going through major development. There's a whole lot of new stock out there, and we saw similar numbers when DY had a big release of new apartments too. So maybe not the best indicator. And I'm going to jump to Bondi. So Bondi would be a suburb where it wouldn't have been too much new development for us. Your Bondi rents, wow, your median asking rent, look at this. It's up over 9%. So if you're paying $400 a week, you're paying $440. If you're paying $500, you're paying $550.
Again, beaches lifestyle.
Wow, yeah, incredible. What else have I got? So yeah, you're right, Ange. Rents have performed well. So no real change here in DY. Bondi up 9%. Cabramatta, if you're a tenant and that's an area that suits your lifestyle, go for it, because there's obviously good pickups out there. The rental market, guys, it's ticking over and performing well. And we're renting properties here in like within a week, if not within 10 days of having your property on the market. And I think that's probably indicative to most real estate offices, along the beaches here as well. Yeah. But I think that's about it, guys. I don't have a whole lot more to talk about on the market. Just, what's it mean? It means from the day I first come on to when I achieve my goal, whether it's a sale or a rental, that's the time frame there.
Done. Yeah.
And anything else you want to talk about tonight?
No, it's just as I said, we're just interesting. The next couple of weeks is going to be the big decider for the year. So and see how the year finishes.
Yeah. And if you're looking to be in a new home by December, by mid-December, kind of got to be buying now.
Got to be buying now. So we've got an average settlement being 6 weeks. It's you bring that to, so it's coming up now. So most of the other properties that will be selling between sort of mid-November onwards will be sort of all settling sort of January next year, and going from there. So
guys, good time to buy or sell if you've got plans this side of the break, guys. Hopefully they open up the borders. The guys in Melbourne, hopefully this is an indicator of what's ahead. Yeah, we all need to get out and have a bit of a break. But guys, look, have faith. Your property market's performed well, and looking forward to good things ahead as well. Definitely. Enjoy, guys. Good night, and if there's anything else, any other questions that's been posted as well, we'll answer them, and we'll also screenshot a couple of those statistics and put them in the comments for you all. Thanks very much. Guys. Enjoy. Have a great night. Bye.